This is the all-new Jetour T2, and at first glance, it looks like something that should cost serious money, like real luxury SUV money. The kind of vehicle you expect to see parked next to a Land Rover, not competing with mainstream crossovers. It's tall, it's wide, it's unapologetically boxy, and it has that rugged, almost military-inspired presence that instantly turns heads. But here's where things get interesting, because despite looking like a six-figure SUV, the Jetour T2 is actually priced at around $35,000 to $37,000 US, depending on exchange rates. Compact crossovers like the Toyota RV4 or Honda CR-V, not full-size, rugged, off-road inspired SUVs that look like this. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about where this car comes from, because Jetour might not be a familiar name to American audiences. Jetour is actually a sub-brand under Chery, one of China's largest automotive manufacturers, and it focuses specifically on SUVs. The T2 itself was introduced globally around 2023 and is known in some markets as the Jetour Traveler, built on a modern unibody platform with off-road capabilities baked into its design. And that's important because this isn't just a styling exercise, it's meant to deliver a blend of everyday comfort and real-world adventure capability. Dimensionally, the T2 sits in a really interesting space. It measures about 4.7 meters long, over 2 meters wide, and has a long 2.8 meter wheelbase, which puts it squarely in the midsize SUV category. But visually, it punches way above its class. The design clearly takes inspiration from vehicles like the Land Rover Defender 110, with its squared-off silhouette, upright stance, and bold proportions. The difference is that while a Defender in the US can easily cost upwards of $60,000 to $80,000 or more, this thing comes in at nearly half, or even less of that price. And that creates a very compelling question. Is this just a cheaper imitation, or is it actually a smart alternative? Starting from the exterior, the design is easily one of the strongest selling points of the T2. Everything about it is intentional. The front end features a bold grille with illuminated branding, paired with full LED lighting that gives it a modern, high-tech look. The headlights are squared, reinforcing the geometric design language, and the overall shape feels solid and purposeful rather than overly styled. This is not a soft crossover pretending to be rugged. It actually looks like it belongs on a trail. The proportions are what really sell it, though. It's wide, planted, and tall enough to command presence on the road, and with a ground clearance of around 220 millimeters, it's not just for show. From the side, the T2 continues to impress with its strong character lines, pronounced fender flares, and functional details like side steps and roof rails. It rides on large wheels with all-terrain tires, giving it a balanced look between urban usability and off-road readiness. And then you get to the rear, which might actually be the most striking angle of the car. The rear-mounted spare tire immediately gives it that classic off-road SUV identity, while the vertical LED tail lights add a modern twist. It looks tough, but also refined in a way that feels surprisingly premium for the price. Step inside, and the story gets even more interesting because the interior doesn't feel cheap. In fact, it feels like Jetour put a lot of effort into making this cabin feel far more expensive than it actually is. The dashboard is upright and structured, with a mix of rugged design elements like exposed, bolt-style accents and modern touches, like a massive central touchscreen. The materials include soft touch surfaces, leather upholstery, and detailed stitching, creating an environment that feels comfortable and well put together. It's not quite luxury level in the way a Range Rover would be, but it's definitely punching above its price point. The technology is another standout feature. The centerpiece is a large infotainment display powered by a high-performance chipset, making it responsive and smooth to use. It supports features like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, along with voice commands and a full 360-degree camera system that even includes a transparent chassis view for off-road situations. These are features you'd typically expect in more expensive vehicles, not something in the mid-$30,000 range. On top of that, you also get things like a premium sound system, ambient lighting, wireless charging, and a panoramic sunroof that stretches across the cabin, making the interior feel more open and airy. In terms of practicality, the T2 is designed as a 5-seater SUV with plenty of space for passengers. The rear seats offer generous legroom, and the flat floor makes it comfortable even for 3 passengers across. The cargo area is also quite spacious, starting at around 580 liters and expanding significantly when the rear seats are folded down. It's the kind of vehicle you could realistically use for daily commuting during the week and road trips or camping adventures on the weekend. Under the hood, depending on the market, the T2 is available with different engine options, including turbocharged gasoline engines and even hybrid variants. Some versions feature a 2.0-liter turbo engine producing over 240 horsepower, paired with all-wheel drive systems that enhance its capability on rough terrain. The platform itself supports multiple driving modes, electronic differentials, and torque management systems, allowing the vehicle to adapt to different driving conditions, whether it's city roads, highways, or light off-road trails. Safety is also a key part of the package, with features like multiple airbags, stability control, traction systems, and a full suite of advanced driver assistance systems. These include adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, and automatic emergency braking, bringing it closer to what you'd expect from modern SUVs sold in more developed markets. So when you step back and look at the Jetour T2 as a whole, what you're really looking at is a vehicle that challenges expectations. It delivers the visual appeal of a premium off-road SUV, the practicality of a family vehicle, and the technology of a modern crossover, all at a price point that undercuts most of its perceived competitors. And that's exactly why it's generating so much attention globally. Because for many buyers, especially in markets where brand prestige is less important than value, the T2 offers something very compelling: the experience of driving something that looks and feels expensive without actually paying that premium price. Of course, it's not without its questions. For international buyers, especially in the US, things like long-term reliability, parts availability, dealership networks, and resale value are still unknown factors. Chinese automakers are improving rapidly, but they are still building trust in global markets. So while the Jetour T2 might look like a bargain on paper, the real test will be how it performs over time. But as a product right now, in this moment, the Jetour T2 is one of the most fascinating SUVs you can look at. Because it doesn't just compete on price, it changes the perception of what a $35,000 SUV can look like, feel like, and offer. And that alone makes it worth paying attention to, especially if you've ever looked at something like a Defender and thought, I wish I could get that look, without paying that price.